Maddie and I were together since high school. We met through mutual friends and instantly clicked. We were accepted into different colleges 4 hours away. Most relationships would phase out at this point, but we persevered. We stayed together. We spent weekends together, dreaming about our future. We talked about where we'd live, how many kids we'd have, and even what we'd name our dog. After we graduated, I proposed to her. We were young and in love, and everything seemed perfect. The excitement escalated as the wedding approached. Maddie's bachelorette party was meticulously planned, with the venue chosen, menus tasted, and guests flying in from various parts of the world. But 2 weeks before our wedding, on her way home from her bachelorette party, she was suddenly taken from me, shattering our dreams and leaving me to grapple with a future that had been torn apart. Some sick person destroyed the life we had planned together. What they did to her was horrible. I was the first one there when the police arrived. Seeing her like that, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even look at her, but I had to confirm her identity for the police. I was crying and vomiting, but I managed to give them what they needed. The autopsy didn't find any DNA matches, and the cameras didn't catch the attacker. The funeral was a blur. People who should have been celebrating our marriage were now lining up to shake my hand and utter the dreaded words, "I'm sorry for your loss." For 3 long years, I float through life like a ghost, merely existing. At work, I went through the motions, but my mind was elsewhere. The office chatter about TV shows and online scandals felt like meaningless noise. Existence felt hollow, and the thought of facing it alone was terrifying. Nights were spent in a desperate hope for some kind of escape. Then, something shifted within me. I became consumed by the need to find Maddie's killer. I was convinced that the police had overlooked crucial leads. Hours spent scouring the internet for answers only deepened my suspicions, plunging me into a world of conspiracy theories. I found myself drawn into dangerous circles, where choice and manipulation reigned supreme. Through these connections, I encountered individuals with power, but their motives were dark at best. One day, I saw one attacker in an underground parking lot. Out of nowhere, I found myself face to face with my first target, a man with a disturbing past. The dim lights cast long shadows as I hide behind the shelter of a massive SUV, my features concealed by a black balaclava and hood. I waited, heart pounding, until he emerged from his car, heading towards the stairs leading to his apartment block. With a surge of adrenaline, I pounced, driving him against the cold wall, a blade pressing threateningly against his throat. His eyes open up with terror as a thin stream of blood trickled from the cut. Despite my relentless questioning, he remained stubbornly silent. Frustration boiled within me, and I lashed out, the handle of the dagger connecting with his jaw with a sickening crack. He crumpled to the ground. His fear was visible. This pattern repeated itself, each encounter escalating in intensity until I found myself standing over my 6th victim, a young man, his face twisted in pain, his fingers shattered from my relentless interrogation. It was a moment of awakening, the realization crashing over me like a wave. I had gone too far. Leaving him in a pool of his own blood, broken and injured, I knew I had become the monster I had set out to destroy. I spent the next few nights praying for forgiveness. The weight of my sins pressed upon me, but still, I hold tight to the hope of means of escape. Yet, as days turned into weeks, my prayers shifted. no longer only seeking forgiveness, I pleaded for the strength to find joy once more, to revive the love I had lost in Maddie's death. Each whispered request was a desperate cry for a miracle, a desire for the healing of my shattered soul. But the heavens remained silent, leaving me to drown in the suffocating depth of sadness. With each unanswered prayer, my despair escalated, consuming me until I was numb to any sense of mercy from the divine. In the darkness of my despair, I turned to the forbidden, seeking support in the occult. Guided by online connections, I delved into the forbidden arts of witchcraft and satanic rituals, trading slivers of my sanity for a glimmer of hope. I immersed myself in ancient texts, tracing sigils with trembling hands and spilling the blood of sacrificial beasts upon cursed altars. Yet, despite my feelings for prayer and macabre offerings, the void remained, swallowing my hopes whole as I danced on the scar of curse. Desperate for a sign from the depths of hell, I searched online forums for a different way to get what I wanted. I found people who claimed to know a lot about cosmic stuff. Each person had a bit of advice on how to summon a powerful being named Lucifer. They said Lucifer might grant wishes if you passed his test. One of these folks was a guy named William Campbell. He'd written about creatures from beyond our world. I asked him for help with what I was planning to do. Hardly anyone knows about cosmic creatures like Lucifer, Jimmy said, rubbing his beard. His hair had turned gray long ago, but his beard was still mostly black. I want to emphasize, you shouldn't mess with trying to contact them casually. Bringing them here could be really bad for you. There are things worse than dying. The summoning ritual was tough and took a long time. The things I've done have cut me off from any chance of redemption. I've done terrible things. I won't explain the steps because it could put you all in danger. Once you know them, you might feel like you have to finish. I'd endure endless pain just for one more moment with her, I said, my expression serious. I don't doubt your determination, Connor, or your reasons, Jimmy said, his tone serious. But I don't think you realize what you're getting into here. Those of you who study these entities understand they're everywhere. They exist in other realities like ours, with versions of us living alongside them. If they torment you, it won't just be here. It'll be across countless dimensions, breaking you down to your core for ages. He looked straight into my eyes, hoping I'd grasp his warning. I've already started down this path, I admitted, trying to sound steady despite the tremble in my voice. I just need advice on how to make sure I stand a chance of getting his favor. My own God has left me, and the devil's too harsh to ask for help. What you're asking for makes dealing with the devil seem easy, Jimmy warned plainly. After I finished the last step of ritual, I called out to Lucifer, asking for my one wish and promising to accept whatever he asked in return. I stood on the edge of a cliff at the end of the world, looking out at the endless sea. I waited for a while, but nothing happened. Feeling defeated and ashamed, I turned to leave. Then I saw something strange happening on the horizon. The sea changed color. First red, then green, and finally purple. My head spun as I watched. As my vision cleared, I realized I was seeing myself from a low angle on the ground. My eyes had popped out of their sockets, and it was disgusting to see them each looking in different directions. Then my body started changing into something inhuman. It felt like something was taking over me. There are no words to describe how horrifying it felt as every part of me shifted around. The pain was intense, but it was nothing compared to the mental torment as my mind struggled to understand what was happening. Lucifer had arrived, making his presence known. my mind broke apart as Lucifer tried to talk to me. I experienced every painful death imaginable all at once, for what seemed like forever and no time at all. He reconstructed my mind so I could understand his thoughts. We communicated through images and feelings. It was like he was making me understand what he meant. He called me the summoner of Lucifer. His title was Lucifer, the disruptor of existence, and I was the link keeping him tied to this world. I begged Lucifer to bring back my lost love, flooding him with images of us together and the life we wanted. He couldn't understand human emotions, but he got that I wanted to bring a soul back from the dead. He explained that his power over my lifelines was limited by my other selves in different realities. If those lifelines became one, he could grant my wish. I agreed to his offer without question, willing to do whatever it took. He showed me an image of many versions of myself fighting each other, cutting a lifeline each time one fell. Now, I had to face my other selves in a series of one-on-one contests until only one remained. These meetings would happen across all timelines. Each version of myself fought to survive, aware that I was the reason for their suffering. The contest could only end with blades. Lucifer's presence faded, and my mind returned to normal. I knew I had to get ready for the challenges ahead. I'm writing this to warn you never to seek out this terrifying creature. Right now, I'm sitting at my laptop, covered in blood, from my first opponent. It was another version of me, but older and full of hatred. He knew who I was the moment he appeared. Despite his age, he tried to fight back, but I was able to overpower him and end his life. I'm afraid to sleep because I know the next challenger might come for me when I least expect it. They're fighting to survive, but I'm fighting for her, the one I love.